he is the person to know in Ottawa for networking. He is incredible for anybody that's starting out into the entrepreneur world. I'm sure he's Canada-wide, knowing him. But from my own personal experience, again, this is one of the staple people that I was introduced to when I first took the huge dive into entrepreneurship. And one of my main goals, honestly, I think I've told Jarrod this, was to actually get on his radar, because I know how well known he is and how great he is for networking. And, he's always out there to give tips, and, even sit down and actually consult with a person. That's kind of one of your networking shticks that I was told about. But so Jarrod, thank you so much for being on the show. I really, really appreciate it. And thanks again.
Well, thank you so much, Laurie. It's a pleasure to be here, and seeing the passion and enthusiasm you have for entrepreneurship. That's one of the reasons why I do what I do, is to help other people realize what they can be capable of. So I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Well, thank you. So I'm going to get straight into your bio, because, again, I'm excited to hear about what you have to say. So Jarrod Goldsmith is a Canadian small business community builder, and is the embodiment of the small business spirit. He's one of Ottawa's best known entrepreneurs, and founded Sax Appeal, Canada's premier saxophone ensemble, Sax Appeal Productions, and an agency for all music needs. eSax, the entrepreneur social advantage experience, Ottawa's largest entrepreneur networking community for small business exclusive experience, and hosts both Ask the Fedora, a YouTube series on entrepreneur networking, and the eSide podcasts. And just to put a little bit of a plug in, actually on the bottom of our crawler is your YouTube channel, which, I like to utilize the Ask the Fedora. It's great. It's an awesome resource, and it's short, it's concise. Like, they're only about 1 minute to 2 minutes long, right? For the chat, the video. Yeah. And they're great for, there you go. It's such an amazing resource, and it's something you could do while you're walking around. Like, I like to listen to them sometimes when I'm like on my walks, or if I'm in between jobs and stuff. It just kind of helps. It's a learning experience, fills my brain, and it's a little palette where I can get a little bit of information in and then continue on with the rest of my day. So thank you for having those resources out there.
Well, thank you. I mean, one of the reasons why I do what I do is to help other people with knowledge and networking, so that they could go back and promote their business and make it a success.
Yes, and I mean, you do it so successfully. Like, most of the entrepreneurs that I started with, they're like, yeah, I know this person, and I met them through Jarrod. And it seems that it's either you, Jarrod, Emil, or one of the other more well-known names, where you just pour so much in and make sure everybody knows each other, and then we build out as a small business community and a networking community. And I've said this time and again, that like, the entrepreneurial community in Ottawa is one of the most tight-knit, helpful communities. Because when I threw my own, we lost Jarrod. That's a concern. So what I was saying about Jarrod was that is one of the main people that's helped build the tight-knit community within the entrepreneur world, and had a little bit of a lapse a couple weeks ago. And because of that community, I was able to build myself up and build into a stronger person. So I'm going to explain a little bit what Jarrod's going to talk about. Jarrod was just going to basically be speaking about his... Jarrod was going to be speaking about what it was like to move from an employee to being an entrepreneur. Hi again.
Hello.
A little bit of a hiccup there.
Difficulties.
That's okay. I was going on about what you were going to talk about, becoming from employer to an entrepreneur, and basically a little bit of the challenge behind that. So you just showed up at the right time. You heard what I was saying, and then you jumped back in. So do you want to? Yeah, it is. It's all about timing. So you want to explain a little bit about what it was like as a challenge to move from from employee to entrepreneur?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I'm not sure if you know, Laurie, or maybe some of your listeners, but my background is rather unique compared to most, even in the entrepreneurship field. I have a background in archaeology. I
Oh
have
wow.
I have 2 degrees in archaeology, but back in high school, I started playing the saxophone, and I loved it. I just it was the most amazing thing. It was my hobby, it was my passion. Even back then, I've been hearing from everybody around me, don't go into music, get a real job. And I listened to that, and I believed it. And to me, music was always a hobby. I was very good at it. Then when I was studying archaeology in university, I kept up playing in bands around the city, around the university, studying with professors. And when I did my graduate degree in Edmonton, the University of Alberta, again in archaeology, the first thing I did, the first week I joined a jazz band at the university. And music's always been a big part of who I am, but I never wanted to do it as a career. I've known a lot of professional, poor, starving artists, and I knew how hard it was. I moved back to Montreal, ended up in Ottawa, and I tried to get a government job. But I still played in bands around Ottawa. This is back in 2002 when I first moved here. Trying to get a government job. It's a government town for the most part. But
It is.
not
Yeah.
many people are looking for musical archaeologists. I found it very difficult to get a job in the government. It seemed most of the opportunities I had were contracts, entirely unrelated. I didn't know anybody in Ottawa. I didn't appreciate it. I didn't know anything about networking at the time, let alone wanting to go into business for myself. I've been on EI more times than people can count, and I realized that I found opportunity. I learned a lot.
We're having a little bit rough. It's, it's a little bit rough with the audio. The audio. It sounds really brown again.
How's that, Laurie? Is that better now?
That's awesome.
Okay, great.
So
I was talking about.
we left off. Yeah, we left off where it was hard to find get hired as an archaeologist. A musical archaeologist is the last thing.
Yeah, that's right. I worked a couple of years on and off as an archaeologist doing some digs, but it wasn't much of a career for me. There's no pension, there's no benefits. You're out in the sun, the cold, digging, and it was a lot of fun, but it wasn't a career. But I thought government was a career for me. I worked hard. For the most part, I was the only one with an advanced degree in all the positions I had, which were mostly entry level at the time. And I just worked really hard to try to prove myself. And time and again, I was the first one hired, the first one fired when there was, the government didn't run out of money. And this whole cyclical issue of not having a permanent position. I guess all that to say is, even back then when I was in and out of government, I was meant to be an entrepreneur because I was already used to having an unstable income. As an entrepreneur, we feast or famine. Very few of us have, regular clients or services or products that we can count on a regular paycheck. I never knew when my next paycheck was going to come from. Back in 2011, my last day in a job in the government, actually it was May 11th, 2011, I walked into an Employment Ontario Center and they said, well, what do you want to do? Well, at that point, I think my government career was coming to an end after 7 or 8 years. I said, I need to do something else. Well, the person, what do you want to do? I'm thinking of starting up a band. And she said, you know how hard it is to go into music? I said, yeah, I know. I've been hearing my whole life. But I decided to go into music with a band that nobody's ever heard of, which is called Sax Appeal. I don't know if you see that. And even the French. But, and at the time, I didn't know anything about entrepreneurship or the hardships it could entail or the, the benefits from it. But I got into an entrepreneurial incubator program, and it was a 42-week program to help people learn how to start a business. It doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately, but it was called the Ontario Self-Employment Benefits Program. It changed my life. And every 3 months, this program took in a new intake, and up to like 30 or 40 or 50 people starting a business, most for the first time. So it was like a rotating, in and out type of thing. You start for 3 months, you go, and 3 months later, a new group comes in. And after the end of the 42-week program, your program's over, but the monthly networking events are still happening. Back then, I thought to myself, this is a great opportunity. We're told that we need to go out and network. to get work, right? I didn't know anything about networking, Laurie, at the time. This is before the hat, right? I didn't know anything about
it. Believe that. It's so hard to conceive that you knew nothing about networking.
Yeah, it was funny. Like, actually, it's funny. Many of the Ask the Fedora videos, it's trial and error. I used to do everything wrong when I started networking. I tried to give out all my business cards and try to sell myself, but I was only selling the band at the time. And I realized back then, not everybody's looking for an all saxophone band. Very unique. What I started doing was building relationships with people, thinking that, you're not getting married too often. You're not having a 600-person conference that you need background. But when you do, or when you're going to keep me in mind.
We seem to be frozen again.
In the eventuality that they're getting.
It seems to be frozen on Jarrod. All right, so Jarrod was basically explaining about he was going through what was back an incubator and accelerator program, which a lot of nonprofits have to help you learn the entrepreneur world and how to run a business. And then he utilized that to help him step into different experiences about learning different networking events. And by the sounds of it, that program actually helped him learn how to engage with others. He was saying that he was actually putting his sax band, which is Sax Appeal, and it's incredible, so you should check them out. But with that, he learned how to put them forward, and like he said, he failed forward about it, and that all his information about networking and helping others, providing information to people like myself, who is a fairly new entrepreneur, was what his mistakes and what he did better, and like how he learned that journey with that. And that was through Sax Appeal. And it sounds like he was about to step into discussing how he learned to step into the networking world. And then into the networking world, from my own perception, what I learned, he stepped into creating his own networking company. And from what I've seen myself and what I've seen others experience, the uniqueness of his experience about his networking is that it gives the ability for the company to not only engage with others and learn how to network, but also show off the business on a personal basis as well as the business basis. And Jarrod's also a unique host too, where he really steps in and he knows information. That's one of the things that I found as my personal experience with him, is that I met him once at Collab Space, which was Emil Salam's collaborative work space, and he knew me the next time we met. And I was like, well, you meet about 1,000 people a week. I'm sure I'm exaggerating a little bit, but he actually knew me, knew my name, knew a couple of details about him, what we discussed. And he explained his little trick to me, is that he takes the business card and he writes 2 little pieces of information that are unique to the individual. And then he puts it into his database. And that way he's able to bring back the information to him. And I was like, oh, that's such a great idea. So that is just kind of the special experience that you get with Jarrod, is that you learn to he's able to bring that unique bit of information from one person and share with another person, and he makes that that relationship and helps you build it. So I think what he was trying to explain about the overcoming part of the piece was that it was through the incubator program and through his own life experience that he really had to fail forward and learn to build yourself into that person. Hey, just a moment. Let me share Jarrod again. And you're back. Hi. I was what I explained. So what I just basically experienced was like re-summarizing what you said, as well into my experience about that tip that you had showed me about like writing 1 or 2 tricks, 1 or 2 things about on the back of a business card, and then you put it into your CRM so you'll remember the next time to discuss with somebody. So
absolutely, because all that does, it develops a rapport with that person. because I
Yes.
think that so many times we meet people in networking events, and I still think the idea that people have of networking is icky. They don't like it. They're told to go sell and to get clients. And for many of us, if we don't get a client after the first event or second event, we think, what a waste. I'm going to go to a different or not go back to that one. But like we know, Laurie, it's all about relationships. It takes time.
Yep, 100%. And so, you were explaining like how the sax appeal. People remember you during weddings and during like different special events and stuff. And then, what made you develop? Like, what made you step into the networking world? Is that what you were?
Back in that entrepreneurial program, the OSEB program, people for the most part are told you need to network, but weren't given resources how or where to go. They just said, okay, go network and go do your thing. And I thought this is a perfect opportunity to talk to hundreds of startups, small businesses for the most part. Actually, they were all small businesses at the beginning, to create a platform, an opportunity for them to meet, because that program is meeting once a month from all past and previous participants in that program. And many of them didn't know anything about networking. And I started hosting these events. And at first, I just called them the OSEB networking events. And we used to meet at the Heart and Crown in the market. We'd have 20 people or so. Then I changed the name to ESAX. It was kind of cute, right? With the band Sax Appeal, ESAX.
Yeah.
And it was very little fanfare. People didn't care. Nobody was like, okay, ESAX, okay, good for you, good job, like whatever. But I kept at it, and I learned the value of the brand. And then I started wearing the hat, and it's really changed everything. Like, the fedoras, it's everywhere now, right?
Yeah.
E-socks.
The comfiest socks you could buy.
Oh, they're awesome. And a lot of things I learned was when you encourage and promote other people in their community, much like you're doing with the podcasts, Laurie, people will pay attention. It's going to come back to you in spades, because they know that you're not doing it for self-serving reasons. You're not trying to promote or sell anything. You're trying to bring together people. And this is why my big reason for starting ESAX.
That's awesome. That's great. And so you found like an opportunity. So in the challenge of your own experiences, you found an opportunity, and you just kept at it and failed forward and learned and learned and learned. And now it's giving you the ability to, pour back into the community that you love so much.
Absolutely. And I've always thought that collaboration is the key to everything. There's a lot of people in all industries who are very territorial about who they are. Let's say you're playing in the same field, and they try to badmouth you, or they try to discount your prices, like, amongst other people. And I thought, Ottawa in particular is a small town.
Yeah.
And people's reputation is everything. And it's the credibility you have in the community that's really going to build your organization, your enterprise, your association, whatever it is. And that starts off from day one, right? The work ethic you have, it's the leadership that you portray by helping other people build up rather than just trying to plug one or two items. It's really the collaboration part. And I see that Lana is on the call here. Thank you for joining us, Lana.
Yes.
I've known Lana for years, and she's come a long way. Yeah. Fabulous person. I think she was even on one of my videos from ESAX years ago. I can probably find it really quick. But all that to say is it's work with people. Try to find ways to collaborate. Even if you're in the similar industry, let's say you get too swamped with something, you're probably going to send a referral to that person to, let's say, your competition, but you respect your competition. And they're going to appreciate the lead. And likewise, if they get too swamped, they're going to send you a client.
Yeah, no, I totally, I do that actually with a couple of VAs locally, is because I have a fixed amount of time that I'm allowed to work with my anxiety and stuff. And so, I have my regular clients, and I see like an opportunity for another client that's might match with a certain VA. I'm like, here you go. So yeah, it's definitely, the more you collaborate and pour into each other, like you said, it comes back 100 times more in spades. So yeah, I totally agree with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we also have to realize, for many of us, it's a business and trying to make money. But how do you make money and balance your philanthropic ideals at the same time? That's a bit of an issue to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any recommendations for that, or it's just kind of a fail forward and figure it out for a unique individual experience?
I think everybody has to be careful about being taken advantage of. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. People are always looking for a good deal. And yes, we could offer discounts for the most part, depending on the industry you're in. But there comes a time where people have to realize this is your livelihood. And
Yes.
if you let people take advantage of you, they absolutely will. Yeah.
It's true. It's very true. Well, I appreciate all the time you took today. And I mean, I really appreciate the stuff that you do for the community and, for my own experience, personal experience with you and the, appreciation. And obviously, like, we know you we have talked to you like in my family, but like I get the personal experience where, you, every time I see you, you ask about Casey, and Casey was all excited to meet you. She has her own Jarrod story. So that just shows you how friendly and welcoming you are, and the person that it just pours out who you are, and I really appreciate the things that you did.
Well,
So.
thank you, Laurie. And I have it on a few of the Ask the Fedora videos, or even the podcasts, that being genuine, you can't hide it. And
No.
people see through fake. Like,
Very much
let's
so.
say you're always thinking in the back of your mind, how do I close this sale, or what can I get from this person? You're not being genuine. And, we're human. We can see this, especially when you're meeting face to face, or let's say on a conference call.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, you have to really believe in helping others.
Yeah, I love it. So, speaking about helping others, and this is all about success, challenges, and healthy living. What is one thing that you do daily that helps you live a healthy lifestyle?
Healthy lifestyle. I try to go for walks. Most of the time, I'm not too successful because I feel like I have to come back to the computer and do some work. But I'm always building towards something. I think this is an issue, a point that everybody has to keep in mind. Let's say you're struggling with your family, or trying to stay afloat in business. Think of the future. Where do you want to be in 6 months or a year from now?
I love that.
Everything that you're doing now should be to be beneficial later. For instance, I'm hosting a lot more of these trial virtual networking events, and I'm booking at the end, in about a month's time from now, a whole bunch, like 3 a week at different times. It takes a long time to create these events and put them on events.com and then on the website. And there's a bit of a process.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see myself getting any money from it today, but in 2 months from now, I will.
Exactly.
So how do I stay energized and organized? It's by planning ahead, doing the processes behind the scenes. For instance, now that everybody is still in isolation mode, it's a great opportunity.
It is a really great opportunity
to build your business, work on your invoicing, work on your processes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all of your podcasts with the other people, put them on Vimeo and YouTube, make your playlists, shorten the URL, put them on your website. That takes time, everybody. And now is a great opportunity to do that, because most of us aren't leaving the home for a while. Like when I live out in Orleans, Laurie, when I go to a networking event, let's say in Canada for 5 o'clock, okay, there's a bit of rush hour. I could be stuck in traffic an hour. I usually leave before 3, and I get there way early to avoid that, so I can be more productive when I'm, But all I have to say is it takes up most of an afternoon for me to get to an event at the other end of the city. Now, I don't have that. I'm actually much more productive.
Which is great, because then, and I think that is a really good last thing to tip off on is everything. That's one thing one of the big staples I had to learn as an entrepreneur, that everything is a process, and that the instant gratification is not going to happen. But if you're working towards something, and you set those goals, inevitably it comes to fruition. That's what I did with this podcast, for instance. I've been talking about it for about a year, and then strongly talking about it for 6 months, and then finally working with Scott Rust, who's this incredible habit coach. He helped me organize my thoughts and the processes, and voila. So that's
amazing to see it come to fruition. A lot of people have great ideas, and you said you've been thinking of it for about a year, but actually get up and do something about it. I think that's what holds a lot of people back from following their passion. A lot of people hopefully have a day job, and they can still go back to one these days. But what are they passionate about? What do they really want to accomplish? How are they going to change the world or their community? It's things like this, Laurie. Like you actually doing it now. Kudos, good job. But I mean, it's scary. It's intimidating. There's a lot of emotions at play as well. Success can be measured by many different ways. But doing something about it, getting off the sofa and making something happen, that's when good things go your way.
I absolutely agree with it. And again, I want to put a little bit of a plug about Failing Forward, because that is one thing that we are really concentrating on Casey about, is that to learn how to fail forward, and that it's okay because it teaches you to go in a different way. So, and that's all part of the process. So, again, anybody that is watching,
not everybody's. Oh, pardon me.
Hello. Oh, go ahead. No, you go right ahead.
Not everybody's first business venture will be successful. They might realize after 6 months or a year that it's not viable. They're losing money. They have to pivot. They have to do something else. Trying to find something that, one, you're passionate about, two, that
I think what he was trying to say is, two, is that finding that you're passionate about, and two, something that you know that it's going to work towards a goal and that you're going to be successful about. So I'm going to end on that. I really appreciate Jarrod Goldsmith for being on the show today. Please check out his channel, his YouTube channel. It is definitely, it's been beneficial for me. It's great. YouTube.com at eSax Networking. There's so much, oh, here he is again. There's so much information there. And again, his socks, actually the eSax socks are incredible. Not only are they super comfy, but you're able to, they're super comfy. They're $15, and you actually, is it $1 that you put in for every pair of socks that goes back?
Actually, $4.50 splits
wow.
between 3 charities. We have 2 other organizations, Rob Stewart of Robco Water and Doug Bates, both match my donations.
That's awesome.
We're always looking for other organizations and businesses to get on board and match. But right now, we're donating $4.50 towards the Ottawa Network for Education, the JA Junior Achievement Program, Ability First Ottawa, and CHEO, the Max Keeping Foundation.
That's great. And then that just goes, again, to show like the cross-networking for the people that match them and the amount of money that goes towards it. But also Abilities First is, you know, something that I connect with on Mike Lipschitz, which I always say his name wrong, but like he's an incredible man.
Michael Lipschitz, big fan.
Yeah, he's hilarious. So, all right. Was there anything else that you want to contribute towards the podcast today or say?
Well, I want to encourage everybody who's listening that, yes, everybody's in isolation. Everybody's, you know, going through some troubling times. But as an entrepreneur, these are excellent times to work on the behind the scenes. For many of us, well, right now we're all working out of our home office. Clean the office, make it look presentable, make it look like inviting. You know, bring plants into your office, clean it up, because it has to be welcoming for you. You know, light incense. I know Tanis Coughlin, I get some incense from her. It's really nice. And it's just a matter of making sure that you love what you do, or why would we be doing it in the first place, but being productive. Maybe set a schedule. I know some people who have hundreds of emails in their inbox and they're stressed about it. It might be wise to have a schedule. You know, when are you most productive? Figure this out. I'm a morning person. I get my best work done probably about 11 to 1 p.m. And I work on, you know, I send the hard emails or work on the process documents because I know that's when I'm most productive. Late in the afternoon, I'm starting to get tired. I'll reply to emails, you know, do some social media stuff towards later in the evening, maybe schedule some posts in, but create a schedule and stick to it. Also include breaks in there. Mm-hmm. A 15-minute break. You could go for a walk. You could go and start cleaning your basement now because we're home. You could work on, you know, organizing your boxes, do some invoicing, work on your taxes because, you know, 15, 20 minutes a day will add up because you're being productive. And it's a change of scenery from, let's say, replying to emails, bang, 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 bang for 4 hours.
Exactly.
Make sure you get some sleep as well. Eat healthy. Drink lots of water.
I love it. It's all good stuff. All good goodness, as they used to say back in my old workplace.
Goodness. Love it.
Good goodness. Yes. Thank you so much. I did say when one of the little pop-outs there that, again, for people to check out youtube.com, eSax Networking. It is such a great resource. And I mean, obviously we get to see your face more, so that's even a better reason to go. And
you're too kind, Laurie. I mean, on the eSax YouTube channel, if you go to YouTube and just type ESAX with an A, there's about 600 videos, and I'm encouraging more people to subscribe to the channel and check out some of the great resources. We have content from Bruce Linton and Steve Cody and probably a dozen from the mayor and Brett Wilson from Dragon's Den. We had him at eSax a few years ago. There's probably 5 or 6 videos of him. Hundreds of business leaders and community builders around Ottawa and the region. check it out. And I think it will help you with your business, where to go forward, how to plan, learn some tips and tricks.
I love it.
I thank you so much for the opportunity, Laurie.
Well, thank you so much for being on, and I wish you a really productive rest of your day. And thank you, everybody, for watching today.
Thank you.
Bye.